make our predictions. The fans at home make their predictions. We all know what we think might happen or want to happen, but ultimately you get 10 players in the server and you never really can tell at this sort of level. And we saw that yesterday with a few upsets. But the thing is, the reason that I really love this matchup, Des, is there's no upset possible here. I don't care how you look at this. Nobody can come into this saying, oh, TSM are the favourites here. MIBR are the favourites here, because it's just not true. You come in and you've got two very capable, very evenly matched teams coming in. Now, we've got no ban coming in from MIBR there, Des.
Right. Now, when we came down the list, all social distance, of course, when we came down the list and stepped out, they looked at us, the boys in MIBR, and said, yeah, we've got something spicy in the ban phase to come out here for you. I didn't expect a no ban to be the one that comes out.
Well, Thatcher VALKYRIE, they will be TSM's choices. Are we going to see them double down? Are we going to see them double down here? And this is sort of, is this MIBR sending a message and saying, do you know what? We just want everybody available. We don't care who you can use because we're going to use them better.
Are they just going to let it go through as a no ban? Like, you think they'd lock something in, but if they let it go all the way through with absolutely nothing, it'll be surprising to us all. And at the minute, it's paused up on one. You cut back just for a quick second while we find out what was going on there. I guarantee the game was just like, no team in the history on LAN has ever not banned anything in either spot.
Something must be wrong.
Just forcibly send it back to the start and go for a restart. If that comes through as a second no ban, that is going to be spicy. Because think about common bans that we normally see on this map. Hibana being one of them, Maverick being another. Often when you see things like the Thatcher brought along, you'll have a Kai ban to suit, else the hatches on the downstairs are impossible to open. There's so many things here that if they leave two bans open, it's going to be chaotic.
Well, I think this is it. That's why I say, is this just a mind game coming in from MIBR? Like, do you know what? Yeah, let's watch the world burn because we're confident that we're going to come out on top of it. That's the sort of sense that you get from it. It's like, yeah, we're happy to play in chaos here. We're happy for you to use anything you want because you know what? We're going to take advantage of that too. Like you said, we've got the Thatcher gun on the attack, but it leaves every hard breaching option. So bring your Kaid. It doesn't matter because we'll bring the Maverick. There's options around everything now.
We love a bit of optionality for sure. We'll find out what's going on here with the issue and hopefully get back into the game very, very shortly. In fact, the bans have continued off screen. And I can see that it's a Wamai coming through as the final ban. So it's not going to be total no bans, Ace. But no attacking ban definitely opens up quite a few options.
It's fascinating, that is for sure. Now, there's going to be a lot of new players to a lot of new people, I think, here. We've got the NAL fans in, no doubt, ready to cheer on TSM. We've got the LATAM fans ready to go wild for MIBR. And we know the names, but who are we really looking out for? On the side of MIBR, there's a lot of big names in there, Des. We've all heard of Lukid, of course. He's one of the big gunners on this side, but there are others to watch out for as well. We've got Felipox and Reduct in particular, both very, very capable players when it comes down to it. They will get you frags. They'll also get you the multi-kills, Des. If we're looking at 3Ks and above, Reduct had 6 rounds with 3K and above in stage 1. Felipox had 7 rounds with 3K and above. They were both beaten by Lukid, who had 11. But it just shows that there is capability running throughout this team to pick up those big rounds and to really try and force teams onto the back foot with those big individual hero players.
I wonder how much of it is just down to the individual players or LATAM as a region. Because look at yesterday in the game that we cast, G2 versus Team 1, probably the best match we've seen so far at SI. If you haven't watched it, fully encourage you to go back and do so after this short play day has ended. But what was it, first 4 rounds, 4 different players on Team 1 walked away with a 3K? It was ludicrous.
It is, and I think this is everybody knows it.
Sorry, it was against Cloud9 in the first game.
Yes, I mean, everybody...
It all blurs into one.
Everybody knows that there's a high level of mechanical skill inside of LATAM, but I think everybody's really seeing it. Everybody knows it, but then I think we're witnessing just how widespread it is. It's, you think, oh, Paolo, he's an unbelievable gunner. Great skill. Yeah, of course. But now we're seeing it come out from Neskin, who people have probably never heard of. We're seeing it come out of players like Alamau, who you may have heard of, but we've never seen go off like that at an international tournament. And
yeah.
It's just clear how sort of it just runs throughout. It's a golden thread throughout the region is having these players with these high skill ceilings. But let's not take the focus away from TSM.
Oh, yeah.
We've got to say...
Chat is livid right now.
Chat's moulding right now because I've been talking about LATAM. But don't worry. Don't worry, NA. I've got your back as well. I've got your back. And TSM, they are bringing skill in absolute bucketfuls as well. I mean, let me say this. One of the skilled players that I'll talk about inside of LATAM is, of course, fantasy. And what do we call him? The Brazilian Bolo. So when you're having players nicknamed after, here's the Bolo. You know, this is
the OG, the real Bolo.
This is the original and only. And, you know, when you're being used as a frame of reference for ability, that just says everything. And that is what MIBR are coming up against here, you know. And that's before you even start mentioning Achieved and Merc. And Gio will put the DEFUSER down, Des, in the middle of an active tornado. He will still find a way to put that DEFUSER on the ground.
He is a man on a mission is the best way I can describe it. Absolutely agreeing. You talk about Bolo. Let's step into precarious territory here and talk about the stage 1 for TSM. Wasn't the best. NAL in general was upside down is the only way I can describe it. Oxygen finishing in first place, and none of the teams that are here finishing in the top floor. For TSM, SSG and Dark Zero, all finishing 5th to 7th. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a stage that they look at and just say, it's a blip on our record. Especially for TSM, who haven't finished any lower than 2nd place in any competition outside of SI 2020 last year. Since then, they've been 2nd or 1st in everything. They very much stepped into the void that was left wide open by SSG after their victory at SI 2020. And I think everyone's also asking the same question, and we're asking of the likes of BDS. If not now, when? You've got the team that came so close last year. You've got the team that has dominated everything regionally since the lockdown came into effect with COVID and all these international events were cancelled off. They are, I would wager, positioned on paper as the best team to go on and win this. Again, if not now, when is it going to happen in future? With that being said, Bolo was the lowest rated player on the team. He hasn't shone the way that he did last year, for example, at SI. Achieved a Merc, definitely doing a lot of work at the top end, but there's more to do for this team, I think, to show that stage 1 is indeed a bit of a blip. It's going to be a write-off, and that we're back to full form here at SI 2021.
I agree with what you're saying, Des. I just want to apply a little bit of a cautious tone to it as well. We say Bolo was the lowest rated player on the side, and he was. That is factual. But that lowest rating was 0.96 overall over the entire season. So still not terrible. You know, they're still there or thereabouts. And the way that I put it coming in, and I didn't really get a chance to say this yesterday, when I look at the NAL teams through stage 1, Des, particularly the teams that we've got here at Six Invitational, these are not teams that struggle to win rounds. They simply struggled to win games.
Yes.
And that was the key factor. They got close many times and just fell at that final hurdle. And so that tells me that they are more than capable of taking wins here. They just need to get themselves over the line. They just need to work out whatever that kink was. And honestly, I look at TSM and I feel like they are the team that are going to do that. I feel like we're going to have the Empire effect here, Des.
That's what we called it earlier on today, wasn't it? How many teams are going to employ the Empire effect? They have a terrible stage 1 and then come out and absolutely slap the crap out of everyone at SI. That's what we want to see. So let's get into it. Round number 1, starting off inside of basement, and surprising seemingly no one, the team that won it all last year, SSG, with their namesake, the SSG Roam on this map. It has seen tons of variance since it was first employed by them to go on a 7-round win streak employing that exact strategy. I believe it was the Sonics who first discovered how to break it open, and lots of teams have said, oh, just rush blue, just rush dirt. Not always as simple as that. There is no castle on side, mind you, so I'm looking at this team and thinking with the Malusi, with the smoke, there's a lot of tools to use on site here, I think, to stall things out, but otherwise, you're going to see the Vigil playing on the ground floor, you're going to have the Mute and the Mozzie on the top floor to begin with, and the other two should be holding on site, trying to prevent what would be those rush angles if they were to come through from blue or from dirt.
Immediate attention is going to be paid towards that top floor from TSM. Look at that, 30 seconds achieved on the sledge straight up there, opening that hatch and looking to apply some immediate pressure. We've got the East Breach open, Des. This is a real forceful approach coming in from TSM here, and I hope that the MIBR roamers are ready for a fight, because they're going to be getting one any second. We can see there is a man on the Malusi on the red stairs there, just looking and shut down immediately by Merc with a nade, and he comes in.
Oh, he's got
strong.
any nose.
He's got the noise there, but he reducked. He wins on the reverse angle, Devs. He gets tracked, but he uses that. He knows he's likely to be challenged on the back of it and manages to get himself the kill. Doubles down with a second onto Merc, and the roam clear is not going to plan. It's a bloodbath up there, Des.
Absolutely, 5 men dead, and we're not even 90 seconds into the round so far. That must be the most terrifying thing, where you get the Jackal track up and it goes 8 meters in front of you, and you're like, wait, what? And then he swings you and you're dead. It's unbelievable, but surely that mash of footsteps on the ground must have said that someone is close. There is no way someone has stood in that spot and gone round in circles 20 times over like it looked like. He would have known he was there, but didn't quite have the support. Members of TSM stepping in for the 1 versus 1s. They still come out on top. The aggression from MIBR is palpable, but they're still down into a 3 versus 2. It all comes down to Philippox and Falls to get this one over the finish line.
A horror film, isn't it, where you've got the scanner and the beep just go, they're on top of us! They're right there!
There's a real polite way of putting this. You simply brick yourself.
Riedel managing to get himself a great double up there before taking out. It was about the best that he could do with the pressure that was mounting. But TSM, they've come out on top, Des. Let's not paint another picture. They are 3 versus 2. They've got plenty of time, 45 seconds left on the clock, and they can start applying some pressure to the 2 defenders that are left in sight, which is Philippox and Falls right now. Smoke and Vigil, so they at least have some of the utility they might need now achieved. He takes a shot. That tells me he knows that there's a man playing in and around the boxes there. He's going to have to dip away. 2 versus 2, however, as Philippox level things up, but traded out nicely by Gio, and it's all down to Falls, but he will fall as TSM come in. Achieved it will be to finalise round 1, get that last kill, and what a round we've just witnessed, Des.
Look at this.
That is how we're coming out. If that is how we are coming out for the entirety of Clubhouse, then strap yourselves in at home, because we're in for a wild ride.
It's mental, yeah. I mean, after that first gunfight that was taken after they opened up the breach and the grenade came singing into the top of red, I felt like that should have been a kill onto achieved. Either it's a trade or it's a kill, whatever you want to call it. They shouldn't have let themselves get naded out for free there when he's peeking with a frag grenade in hand. Unfortunate, could have been a 2 for 2 on the top floor, but with that one staying alive, it fell to the side of TSM to have the numbers advantage, and once the dust settled on that top floor brawl, it became the 3v2 on site. Well played by TSM, well controlled, and for MIBR, a good attempt, I'll say at that. You know, we always commend teams saying, if that one small thing had gone a bit differently, this round could have played out in your favour. That was one of those moments, I think, where if the kill went their way early on, different conversation that we're having. Now we step into Cash and CC, and we're not going to see the 6th pick for the Capitale. It's being stuck this time round, and I guarantee you those firebolts are going to be committed in towards the catwalk inside a garage to force those players away.
Looking at CCTV and Cash, Des, it's a site that we've talked about at length through stage 1, and the way that we've seen it slide even further into the favour of the attackers. It's more and more difficult to keep that east breach closed, and once it gets opened up, the pressure just mounts inside a site. It pretty much means that the entirety of the CCTV room, the B site, just becomes unmanageable at that point. You basically can't step foot in it. It's a no-go zone for the defenders because you're just asking to get peeked on a long angle. If I have a look at MIBR's stats on this map through stage 1, 50-50 Des on the defence. It's not really the ideal place for them to be coming to really try and level the score up here.
This is probably why the Wamai ban's going to come into effect here. Oddly enough, banned away by MIBR, but without any Jaeger, without the Wamai, there's no way to stop the flashbangs, for example, singing through, which also means nothing to stop out those firebolts that can be consumed by the magnets. So although they've got the walls electrified, although they feel like they're probably pretty well dug in here with Lukid sat up on the catwalk, this should be quite simple for Charlotte to have someone support him on a push and just firebolt Lukid out, force him to run into the lines of sight from the members of TSM. And with the Maverick on side, these walls won't be electrified for too long.
Absolutely not. I would, as you say, Des, expect TSM to deal with this catwalk very quickly. And once you've got the East Breach and catwalk, there is absolutely no reason that you shouldn't be winning CCTV and Cash as a defender. It's basically going to take a huge play, from the defenders at that point to get the win. The attackers should have every advantage they need now. Achieved, he's opened up the garage, just very aware of the potential for a player in or around Pool there, but I don't think they're actually being challenged from that double window. But TSM just showing good due diligence, not going to allow themselves to get peeked out. Lukid, for the time being, on the Kaid is still entrenched up on that catwalk, but surely it's not going to take too long. That's essential! That is essential! And he rips the head of Charlotte and goes huge with 2 more! 3 kills to Lukid on the round, and that's how you defend! Surely not an ace there, surely not another one for us on our first game of the day. 4 kills for Lukid right now, all from the garage. I don't know what just happened.
In what world does the player that's playing on catwalk vault over? Shame that he can't get the ace. It would have completed an incredible round. But in what world does the player on catwalk, when he's being pushed by 2 or 3 players, vault over and drop? They weren't even looking at where he was. And after Charla peeked out, it pains me that it's the Capitale doing that. You've got the firebolts for the exact purpose to make him move, and you're peeking with a gun in hand? Not ideal, maybe slightly mistimed by TSM, and Luki, quite rightly so, rips the carpet out from underneath them. Bolo's going to do what he can, makes a double. Can he go all the way? No, he can't, as he has to vault the shield. That is all on the back of Luki. What a play by him.
We spent 30 seconds saying how easy it should be to clear out Lukid from that catwalk, but there was just no chance. He went over the top rope like a wrestler does and just came down with a massive elbow drop on the top of TSM, just knocking them out of the round, and that levels things up 1-all. MIBR needed that, Des. They needed that big round. They didn't want to be getting behind when it came to this game against TSM, and they really, really haven't.
Just goes to show, you give some teams an inch, they'll take an absolute mile from you, and that's exactly what transpired in that round. Lukid, TSM didn't even get a chance to look at the site, it felt like. They're just so tormented by one player solo. It wasn't even like he was being supported or there were big trades happening. That was literally a massive solo play by him, and I'd love to see more of that. Great way to get this brawl started between these two teams.
Round 3 then, we're going to be heading to gym and bedroom this time around. Still up on that top floor. MIBR not wanting to go back to Church and Arsenal yet. Obviously not too keen for those top floor roaming bloodbaths again until they have to. And they've got the option to go to gym and bedroom for the time being, so that's exactly what they're going to do. We're seeing a lot of utility applied over to the east side, as we would expect. They're going to try to keep hold of CCTV and cash for as long as possible. And the reason is the barricaded window at the bottom of your screen. Basically, they don't want the attackers, thank you, Easy, they don't want the attackers having access to that window because it gives a line of sight all the way along that nice flyover we've just had there, and it means that they can use those south side windows as attackers. So the defenders will try to keep hold of CCTV for as long as possible so that they're not facing all that external pressure.
Well, let's give a shout out to the two observers that we've got here doing a wonderful job, by the way. We get a small break as casters between some games, but Medics and Easy, they're in this for the long haul, taking a stream each day. So massive thank you to those guys for the wonderful visuals they give us and the hard work that they do. Endless appreciation for that. What I was slightly curious about is how much they've actually committed out towards this CC hold. It's quite uncommon to see a Maestro Evil Eye also committed out here, unless you are defending Cash and CC. They've got the laser gates, they've got the Goyo shields, they've got the reinforcements, they've got the Evil Eyes. They're throwing a hell of a lot here, so they're riding on this working out rather than abandoning it. I'd say after a minute and a half or so, like most teams do, you'll see 2 or 3 of them, I think, holding out here and looking to contest TSM until that clocks into the final 30 seconds or so. Then you get back to site and force TSM to panic.
I love that sort of makeshift little mirror window that they've made in the
a lot of those the last couple of days.
Whoa, look at that with the Aruni gate there, just opened up, very nicely done. Obviously, you don't have the one-way vision that a mirror would bring, but still a nice little halfway house there as TSM try to push in through this east breach, burning utility and just looking to apply some pressure. But Lukid, he's still going to be locked in at the top of the stairs. I think he might have actually just scooted his way back through into Cash. Bolo with a huge play at the top of the red stairs there, finds an opener onto Lukid. Merc is downed in the meantime, but achieved. He manages to lock in a second, and this is looking good for TSM right now. They're able to pick Merc up, get him back onto 20 HP, and 1 minute 15, Des. They've got all the time in the world. They've got a manpower advantage, and looks like it's advantage TSM here in round 3.
Right call, well achieved here as well. This is what BDS did yesterday when they played on this map. As soon as they had CT control, he was immediately onto the south balcony and looking to provide some pressure into the gym and the bedroom windows, just to restrict the defenders, make them less able to move around or look to contest those that are coming in from the east side of the map. I think they've got the right sort of setup on here, but it's more about the drone play that they want. Collect information. Where are the shields? Where are the players? Where do we need to be contesting? Redux almost being taken down as well, but in a 5 versus 3, no panic for TSM here. Trade a couple of members if it means you get kills back onto the other side. I'm keeping a close eye on Falls with those smoke canisters in the back pocket though, seeing what he can do.
TSM giving a nice example of the south side.
Oh, what is that?
Why they're so dangerous, but they're alive, Tess. Somehow Achieved gets down, the second man on TSM to be downed but not killed. But it was good reactions out on that south side. We'll call it a balcony, the half rooftop, but it just showed the power that comes from those windows and why defenders stack up so much utility trying to keep hold of CCTV. As soon as TSM were on there and just had that power position, you just felt that the round was on a slippery slope, a landslide in one direction, and MIBR, they were unable to halt it. The ground shifted beneath their feet and they were washed away in the tide of TSM.
A timeout call in from MIBR as well, who feel that they've got all the right answers. And to be fair, I actually really respect what they're doing. The setups they've brought along look fantastic so far. So much utility in that previous round. Committed out to the hold, only for Bolo to work his way up the red stairs and find himself a kill and almost connect onto a second. Maybe you look at MIBR and say, yeah, slightly unlucky. They had 2 players down, but managed to, on TSM, this is down 2 players, then managed to both get brought back up. It's still 5 alive until the dying seconds when 1 kill did go the way of the smoke, but nothing that's really going to make a difference in the round. Good start for both teams, but TSM just hitting those crucial shots when they need to.
They absolutely are. That's the key difference so far that puts TSM 2-1 up for me. You know, it's interesting because we've got TSM coming in doing everything right, doing it well and getting their kills, and then we've got MIBR showing a capability to just dive over the top rope, Des, and take 4 out and get themselves around. And that, for me, just creates this really fascinating possibility as this game goes on, because TSM can still do everything right, but if they're going to get sucker punched like that, we are going to remain inside of a close game. So heading into round 4 any second now, when this tactical pause is over, and we're going to be heading, I think, to Church and Arsenal next time around.
Technical, tactical worth, of course, differentiating. Technical, when there is an issue, we've got on a pause, players can sort it out. I believe during that time, coaches are not allowed to talk with the players. During a tactical pause, of which every team gets 1 per map, they can use that where the coach can step in and have a conversation. And we spoke a little bit around this yesterday, Ace. Some coaches saying, oh, we use that time when we can feel the team, you know, the IGL's lost control of the team, or things are getting a little bit ratty in the team communication sometimes, or if they haven't spotted something as a group of players that the coach thinks, well, I really need to share this information with them. Clearly to them, they're thinking, well, we cannot let this half go on with us losing 5 attacking rounds to TSM. We need to have on our defensive half at least 4 rounds on the board for us to feel happy going into the second side of things. Maybe there has shared some good wisdom or a couple of changes, because the Oryx is now being brought to the field. That vigil from last time, nowhere to be seen.
No, it's going to be interesting to see just how MIBR handle this defensive site this time around. Last time we saw them really commit to that top floor roam. TSM didn't give them too much of a choice, to be fair. They moved in so quickly that it would have been very difficult for MIBR to fall back to site. They also moved in from multiple angles as well, which again just increases that difficulty for the defenders to have any sort of route of egress then from that top floor. So this time around, I'm interested to see whether MIBR commit quite as many men. Coming out of the first minute of the defence of Church and Arsenal and finding yourself in a 2 versus 3 is not ideal. So we'll just see exactly what they do. The hatches have been opened up. Reduct and Lukid this time playing a little bit more over towards the west side, with Lukid starting off in the gym there. He's got himself a rotation into bedroom, but last time around we saw them top of red stairs, we saw them in cash, just really up in the faces of TSM, whereas this time Des just a little bit more caution, playing a little bit deeper, and I think focusing more on the job of roamers to waste time rather than to go in and explosively get kills.
It's the proximity to the hatches that you're worried about when you're roaming on this top floor. The whole idea of this roam rides on you being able to drop through the hatch, either get into the stock hatch straight after, for example, or normally down through the bar hatch, which lets you get down onto site in about 7 seconds or so. If you're playing around construction, it is a very fast retreat back to site. That's why you very commonly have a player on the ground floor to make sure the attackers can't take control of top floor, sever the blood flow to those on the top floor and cut off their retreat path entirely. That's where you have the big reliance on the strat to really come together. Now, how much time they can waste is the big question. How much utility can they burn up from the attackers is the one that I'm keeping a close eye on. Already, we're about 75 seconds down, and Lukid right at the window is looking to contest already.
I tell you what, if that barricade breaks slightly differently, maybe he has a go, but he doesn't need it to. He just goes out of the open window and finds a headshot onto Achieved, who was just absolutely, completely unprepared for that. Now Reduct, he will get the spray down as Chala moves in and manages to get himself at least something on the board for TSM, but this has been a much better roam from MIBR. Chala will just confirm that kill there, lock us in to the 4v3, but Lukid and Reduct this time have taken 2 and managed to burn 2 minutes, being the big difference here. Geo manages to find himself 1 onto Raps with a nice headshot, and that leaves us 3 versus 3, but with only 55 seconds left on the clock, Lukid, he can just play his game of dropping back down to site and keep himself fighting later into the round. Falls, finds Bolo on the main stairs. TSM 45 seconds and a lot of work to do here. Sharla, he knows that there's a man inside and finds the kill off the Z-ping, taking Lukid down out of the showers. 2 versus 2, 35 seconds left to go.
Oh man, well again it comes down to a spot where you'd argue TSM given Charla's push. Originally the flex support for TSM, let's not forget here playing on the Ash, would be in a spot of a 3 versus 2, but in a 2 versus 2, you're looking towards those smokes, you're looking towards the air quotes, delay tactics they might be able to play with one in hand. Peeking out into the hallway may have been in the spot to make something happen onto Charla, but not quite the case. Geo picking up one, it's the two boys stacking into a 1 versus 2, falls the last man left alive, but the question is, do they know where he is? He knows his plant's going down, he's got a challenge, sees the Ash, doesn't connect all the shots, and Charla wins it on the push round. Huge round for him, getting relooked on the top floor and then stepping into the man on the downstairs.
Really big round from TSM there. It did at a point look not necessarily lost for them, but they were certainly on the back foot after that big double of an opener, but they managed to turn around the 3 versus 5, and I think this was the moment for me, Des. Charla getting the kill there, through onto the Mozzie inside of the showers, just really sort of felt like it leveled the playing field, and it just gave him that momentum and that freedom to move down main stairs and just cause a nuisance down in sight. And of course Geo then joining in, dynamic duo doubling up and finding himself an important kill and putting MIBR on the back foot, and that's where they well and truly sit right now. 3-1 on the scoreboard to TSM, and they're on the attack, Des. They've got their defensive clubhouse to come yet.
They have, that's the scary thing, and I know people will probably look at this and say, oh, Clubhouse defender sided map, MIBR are getting slapped. Well, with the changes to the meta lately, I think, a little less so. And we commented on the bans that came through. Maybe that's going back to sting a little bit because you aren't taking any of the hard breaches away that TSM would like to employ in this map. You've only got that one My ban coming through. Steph Worldwide, I really love watching the Rainbow Six SI 2021 because it really shows that the things I experienced playing the game are also experienced at the highest levels of the game. What could he possibly be referring to there, Ace? You mean like getting domed by people that are just better than you? Because yeah, I experience that all the time.
Every day. I played it unranked this morning and I experienced that.
Pain. Absolute pain. Let's see if TSM keep on inflicting said pain onto MIBR, who are going for another very similar style to set up that kind of half crouch hole coming through in towards logistics. Everything else, Lukid playing inside of Garage. The big change this time round is he's rocking up the Jaeger.
So we've got that top floor a little bit more protected this time, as you say, Des. I mean, last time around they still managed to defend that garage catwalk, but you can't rely on big 4Ks coming in every single time. So this time, bringing the utility to mean that he can just stay a little bit more entrenched up there without having to take the dive over the balustrade and try to find kills as he does now. Reduct, he's inside of the bathroom there, just going to hold his position for the time being. Obviously very cautious of the potential approach from the master bedroom side here, but for the time being TSM are applying pressure to the eastern breach. Bolo just opens that up there after Merc on the Maverick does him a favour and takes the reinforcements off. Now Merc's going to hold an angle into construction, and if he plays that for long enough he might just get some joy, and it certainly seems like TSM have got MIBR's number here, Des. They're aware that Reduct is in the bathroom, and that's an easy one for Achieved as he just moves into his crosshair. Reduct just leaving Achieved the opportunity to just pull the trigger and absolutely dome him there. 5 versus 4 TSM coming into the second half of the round.
Did they know that Raps has got back in here? He was in bedroom a second ago taking a couple of trading shots, but unless... Oh, if only he hadn't shot, he could have been absolutely monstrous in this round. In fact, he still is. They must have known about the bullets coming for that drone, but don't connect the dots. And it's going to be a big one for Raps. However, it's shut down, traded up by Mert just a couple of seconds later. I was concerned initially when Reduct was in there that, man, this will be so easy to trap you off. You've got both walls reinforced, only one way out. They stick a man on the south window. You're not leaving bathroom anytime soon, and sure, you might be wasting a bit of time, but you'd need to rotate early and get down main stairs, for example, become a bit of a ghost if you're going to waste any time for TSM. So a bit of indecision there by Reduct, I think, costing them ever so slightly at the start of this round. 4 versus 3, not the end of the world, but it's still a numbers advantage for TSM.
It is still a lot of caution being applied from TSM here, not wanting to rush inside of construction, and it's interesting.
Oh, what a grenade!
Oh, what a grenade, as you say, Des. Merc coming in and just removing Philippox from inside of Cash, and that will really open things up here. Foles is going to try to take over and look to play that soft wall, but Achieved is having absolutely none of it. Finds the long angle, and it's interesting, Des, because it's a technique that they do employ in LATAM, not reinforcing the construction wall and looking to play through it soft and challenge onto that bedroom door, but it really hasn't worked for them, and you've got to remember those angles go in both directions. Lukid now 1 versus 3. Diffuser down on the ground. It's all stacked against him. He'll need to find kills before he can even think about disabling. There comes the nade. Second explosive kill of the round. It's going to be Achieved to finish things off, and TSM are cruising right now, Des. The Empire effect is in full force.
Empire You're throwing me off there. I was about to say achieved. I remember playing Sledge like a madman last year, and my God, is he stepping up with these grenades. I think that's at least 4 in the first 5 rounds that TSM have now found from grenade kills. That one, you'd probably say with the number advantage you had, it wouldn't have mattered whether it came from bullet or grenade. The point stands that these grenades are singing into the backline of MIBR, and with all the ADSs committed inside a garage earlier on for Luka to hold up inside of there, nothing's around to defend the rest of the team. Excellent start by TSM, 4-1 up, and MIBR have got a long road to go down if they want to climb back to be able to contest what's looking like an excellent start for yet another NA team.
Really is. TSM coming out looking very, very strong here. They're going to want to back this up throughout the day with a few more positive results of that, I am certain. And right now, Des, I wouldn't be putting any money on them not being able to achieve that because they look electric. Everything that MIBR tried to do, TSM are aware of it. They seem to just be one step ahead all the time. Reduct in the bathroom being a great example. Charla got caught out, but what happens? Bang, in comes the immediate trade. And that's something TSM have done very well. So even when maybe they don't quite recognise or MIBR managed to slip something past them, their reaction to that is just rapid, and it's meaning that MIBR are just fighting at a constant disadvantage at the minute.
I'm wondering whether they're going to put the second Evil Eye here as well. This time it's going on the south of the room. Last time it was on the west, if you recall, and the other one is placed inside a bedroom looking across the whole of it for the late round push potentially coming in from hallway. I think from CSM, like, why change what ain't broken? Pushing again from the east, and straight away it's been opened up here. No reinforcement on these walls coming in. So slightly more drawn back, I think, from MIBR, sorry, where they're not looking to hold this time round so aggressively. They haven't, of course, got the Aruni. Always trip up on that name for some reason. No Aruni laser gates this time round. No wall left soft. They've double reinforced the cash walls, for example, and had this Evil Eye in a bit more of a conservative spot rather than so easily killed from outside.
TSM having to apply a little bit more caution this time. Bolo moved up those red stairs to make the challenge onto Lukid last time around, but they're unlikely to get away with that again. I'm sure that Lukid is going to be very pointedly aware of those stairs. Merc just pinging out little access points, bits of utility, things, angles that they need to be aware of. Charla moving in there and will clear out the Maestro camera for him. That's an Evil Eye down, and it's one step closer to taking control of the east side of the map. But they've still got Raps. He's locked inside of Cash Room right now, and he's going to hold on to that for as long as possible, supported by Lukid playing in behind the Goyo shield, as we said, very aware of those red stairs, and he is challenged from lower garage. They clear out the Goyo shield, and what beautiful teamwork, Des, to get rid of that shield, to just give them the opportunity to draw Lukid onto the stairs, and up goes Bolo once again on the same move, and I love what I'm seeing from TSM here. This is like a game of 3D chess for them.
They've always been described as the aggressive yet extremely strategical team coming out of NA, and it's showing here as well. All 5 members committed. Couple on drones, 2 or 3 looking to push in with grenades or guns at the ready, perfectly pushing the side of MIBR back. But to give credit to MIBR, they've wasted about a minute and a half here, a little bit more, and kept all 5 members alive and are now ready to step back into the site and begin the second stage of their defense.
They've not been baited into the challenges quite as easily as they have been previously. As you say, they've been a little bit more willing to just fall back, and TSM, as I said, applying great teamwork. The challenge onto Lukid from lower garage to draw him away from that shield so that he couldn't make the challenge when the explosive was coming in to clear. It was just great from TSM, but MIBR using their smarts. They're very aware of that logistics hatch. It's going to be smoked out for the time being, but here comes the pressure onto the south-sided windows. Now that TSM are confident that they're in control over the east side, he's going to throw the grenade in, won't have any joy. Reduct on the outer, finds the kill to open things up onto Achieve. 25 seconds left to go. He can see the gun, but that's not going to do any damage. Now then, Reduct just moves away in time as the nade comes out. Look at MIBR, there's 3 of them all grouped in around the bathroom. Doesn't get away with the jump out this time as Bolo shuts down Reduct, but 10 seconds left to go. Kills need to be found. Geo, he's in there getting the diffuser down. The cover is in place. He will be successful. 3 versus 2 TSM and Des. They are the team that are finding a way, one way or another.
Yeah, absolutely. Fall's going to repeat the jump out that we saw coming out of Reduct early, that sadly he would have been slothering at the chop, seeing 3 men stood outside, but Bolo's swing was perfect. Falls and Lukid have got it all to do here. The defuse and 2 kills. They can't even find one. It's Geo stepping up big with 1. Merc to complete. That's a 5-1 half for TSM. They have had MIBR's number time and time again, and outside of a single hero play by Lukid in round 2, nothing has stopped the NA Juggernauts.
TSM looking very happy as well.
The heartbreak.
It's all smiles, and that's when it gets dangerous. I've said it before, I'll say it again. When teams are having fun playing, and it's no wonder that TSM are having fun right now, because they are rolling roughshod over MIBR. And I said it to you yesterday, Des. Latam had a very, very good day, but I said that is likely to be deteriorated a little bit as the week goes on. We're not going to see them just be consistently so dominant in every single game, and I think that's what we're starting to see here. That tide is breaking a little bit.
Here we go. They are bringing the castle in their defense of this the downstairs site. Again, going to see that very heavy roam set up. The Mute and the Mozzie on the top floor. The Vigil on the ground floor, most likely in the castle. After doing his work of getting these castle barricades down on the ground floor, will likely retreat away. I'm not too sure why he's gone up to the top floor here. Is there plan to put down some castle barricades on the top floor instead? There's number 1 going down. Keen to see if the next 2 where they go, because normally it would go on the double door downstairs where he's dropping 2 now. A castle on here, and then 1 out towards pool table as well. So yes, completing out what's normally the most standard setup that you see on this site. Some teams will use the 3rd castle barricade instead on the main stairs window. In fact, he's not even going to go for the 2nd one here inside of the pool table. Wonder where that one's going then.
Charla heading back downstairs.
This is Charla cam, boys.
It's just Charla, it's a fan cam.
Charla fan cam. We need a lot of those after his, 23-8 performance, was it, in the finals?
Yeah.
Man was an absolute machine.
And he's had a fantastic performance so far today. There's been a couple of rounds that have hinged on Charla's ability to just get in there and break defences with a couple of important kills, and that for me is what I'm really taking away from this TSM performance. But the thing is, they're backing it up as well, Des. He's not going in there breaking defences and losing the round. They're backing it up. They've got Geo in there ready to get the diffuser down and playing very well. The question is, can they continue that form on the defensive side of things now?
I like how they've changed a couple of things around. It's achieved on the Mozzie that you normally see on the roam, but no, it's actually him and the Aruni on the top floor. Sorry, it's Aruni on the top floor with the Mute, I would believe, in this case. Finding 1 kill, finding 2 kills. They're already shutting down the side of MIBR before they're even getting inside the building, it feels like. 1 kill downstairs, 1 inside of stock. Maybe a little bit missed time, because about 10 seconds later, you've got 2 or 3 players from MIBR arriving to give backup. That's maybe a sign of a bit of a fragmented attack here, not quite coordinating the way that you need to undo a team like TSM.
MIBR, I'm sure, are going to be disappointed with what they've managed to bring into the server so far. It's been a difficult day for them here against TSM, and there is better that they can show us, and I'm certain that they will do over the group stages. But right now, Des, there's no 2 ways about it. This is the TSM show, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of NA fans out there that are very happy watching this, and it is no wonder, because the rest of the world, they're going to be afraid of playing this TSM.
With how they're shaping up in this game, yeah. And there's plenty more to see from them. 3 games that TSM have got to play today. Of course, this is the first day that we have seen Group B take to the field. Yesterday was Group A and we alternate, so day 1, 3 and 5 is Group A. Day 2, 4, 6 is going to be Group B. Either way, I think with the numbers disadvantage sat in this round, and with basically no drones left, only Falls has got 1 on side, you're asking questions of what can they do? They can hit some naughty shots like that, Ace, but I'm still sat here saying it's a numbers disadvantage, and from the first 6 rounds, TSM do pretty well when they've got a numbers advantage.
Oh, there's a massive amount of work to be done for MIBR here. They're going to start opening up the vertical angles. In fact, Lukid's just going to dive straight inside his side. He's going to get shut down as Bolo gets involved as well, finds himself 2 to clean things up, and it's all feeling a little bit rushed, a little bit desperate from MIBR, Des. They're grasping at straws, they're dropping hatches when they don't have proper site control. You don't have a man at the bottom of main stairs. What's going to happen? Somebody's going to gun you down from the Ash Rush spot, and that's exactly what happened.
It's a rough one, I think, as well, because you can't afford to give the 3rd man to be in a spot where you are on main stairs. You need to have 2 going down kitchen in case 1 dies. Someone's got to retrieve that diffuser after all and put it on the ground. The problem is, and I called it out about 10 seconds before, they had 1 drone left on the whole team. That was Falls. The other 3, gone. They had nothing left in their back pockets, so it was like, well, where does our info come from here? Where is Bolo? Where's this player? There's 4 of them on the other side that we need to be aware of, and we simply can't be. So you hope for the best. You're pushing through dirt blind. You drop through kitchen blind. You saw the final kill that came out. Bolo was shooting a man in his back. A little bit dishonorable, you might say, but in his case, he doesn't care, because this is TSM streaming into a potential 7-1 victory. I mentioned it earlier on as well. 7-0 for Oxygen, potentially 7-1 for TSM. They're running riot today, Ace.
Certainly are. It is the day of NA at this point in time, and I'm sure that a lot of fans on that side of the Atlantic are going to be rubbing their hands at these two performances. But we must remember, there is a lot of Siege to be played yet, and I just love these first few days. I love seeing how the teams are shaping up, and we get those surprises as we did out of Empire yesterday, and TSM certainly looking like they could be the team today that have maybe had a tough stage one and have come in here and just saying, you know what, that's not what we're all about. This is where we thrive, and thrive indeed for TSM right now. We're going to be heading up to CCTV and Cash match point opportunity, Des. They're going to have 5 bites at this. I don't see any way that MIBR bring this back from here.
The thing is, like in the games yesterday, I say G2 versus Team 1, when it was 6-2 to G2 and Team 1 came back to win 8-6, it wasn't like we were seeing nothing coming out of the side of Team 1. They were fighting back in a good number of those rounds. G2 were just getting a small advantage on them. So you could see the possibility for a comeback. But again, the only round to MIBR's name is round number 2, when Lukid went ludicrous and domed 4 people for fun. That's all they've really had going for them. The other rounds, I'd wager, haven't been very close. We've often said, oh, TSM have got the numbers advantage. Oh, TSM are in a 2 versus 2 where they've taken both of the last 2 kills for themselves. It hasn't really come down to close 1v1 situations, which you might wager with a small tweak MIBR might get on their side. So I don't know. It's a few question marks over what MIBR can really do here.
The thing is, I look at it as well, Des, and I think potentially that TSM, for me, have also looked better. You know, G2, they played well. They got themselves a good lead, don't get me wrong, but as you said, Team 1 always felt like they were in the game, whereas TSM, they just feel like they've completely shut MIBR out here, and I think that's a big, big case.
He's going for the long committal on this wall, where normally you just do the top line, the bottom line, have an Ashe or a Zofia come along and just pop it out, but he's going for the full-on committal here. Not too sure how I feel about this one. Still 90 seconds in. It's still not been open. Top left, buddy. Come on. There we go. That's a bit longer than they needed to be. I don't know what they're going to be using all these Ashe and Zofia charges for that they would normally otherwise turn to. That said, both impacts are gone. They have breach and charge. They have all sorts here they could have maybe turned to. Breach and rounds less so because it was electrified. But hey, the wall's opened up. The round progresses. And 2 kills have been found for MIBR. Great start to the round for them.
Certainly better than they've managed over the last few. 5 versus 3 now.
Once again, no ace. 2 left.
This is the problem. A lack of information, and we'll see if that tells as we move through this final minute. They're surely going to be aware of the remaining positions of the 3 TSM players. Charlotte just locked in at the top of those cash stairs at the minute, not being challenged, and will try to defend from there, but I think MIBR are just going to push for that diffuser plant in behind the server stacks. Here comes Falls, the wall is open. He's just going to breach it further to give himself a nice clean line of access. As he moves away, it's just going to give him the option to move quickly. Out comes the Nitro unsuccessfully. Out comes the Toxic Gas unsuccessfully. Great positioning. Merc is underneath, but he cannot do anything about this. Falls gets the diffuser down, and it is looking good for MIBR right now, but achieved. He manages to find one. Reduct trades it back out for one of his own. There come the last 2. MIBR shut it down. Great attack onto CCTV and Cash.
Many will probably be looking at that going achieved. You've got a C4, why didn't you throw it? But in case you saw what was going on, the Thermite had the exothermic opening that wall up, and as the explosion went off, the diffuser was going down. It masked that beep that you get when the diffuser starts being planted. So Achieve didn't even know. TSM had no idea the diffuser was going down because they so cleverly masked it behind the sounds of the explosion. It's bloody loud. And from there went on to win the round. Excellent play from MIBR, and the first convincing round I'd say that we've seen from them all map long.
They need to build some confidence out of that round now, Des. They need to take that away, know that they can get the wins here and push forward. There's still 4 rounds in a row that they need to win. There is not room for any mistakes, and my big concern, particularly for MIBR, looking at the rest of this and how it's going to play out, is that Church and Arsenal site. They're moving to Gym and Bedroom now. We haven't seen TSM defend here, but it's another top floor site, similar in nature to the attack onto CCTV Cash. MIBR initially going to look, no doubt, to take control over the east side of the map once again, as they've just done. But if MIBR come out with the win here, They still have to then go down and attack Church and Arsenal again. They lost men quickly. Inside the first 45 seconds, they were down to 3 men. They ended up relying on a kitchen hatch drop where they just didn't have enough drone utility. They didn't have enough manpower. They just couldn't back up that attack. And that, for me, is a big problem. And it's a question that needs to be answered if they are going to bring this back.
Really interesting setup from TSM because, well, we saw MIBR committing all of their utility in towards red, towards cash. They had the Evilizer and the ADSs scattered out towards cash CCTV overall. TSM have put a lot of their focus instead in towards logistics and in towards construction. They are doubling down massively on a hold inside here with 3 ADSs, the Shield, the Banshee, the Evil Eye inside logistics to help feed information back and forth. They're saying, look, let's go really light on our cash CC hold, commit a couple of reinforcements there and no more. We back out from there fast, but then they meet a second line of resistance that they weren't expecting inside of construction. That's where you can find a good amount of time wasted. Love it.
Achieved is playing on the blue stairs here. He's just going to try and pressure onto Garage potentially. Also, a little bit of safety for those cash stairs if TSM have got a player up at the top of them, just trying to hold on to that corridor. He will be drawn out, but the question now, Des, is what do MIBR do with that information? Do they push in? Do they challenge onto the man on blue stairs? Do you
chase the ghost? Because he's going to run downstairs.
That's it. He's just going to run downstairs and underneath. So. And that's exactly what he's done. He's backed off, and this is great play from Achieved on the roam. He's just wasting time because now they have to find him again. They have to know where he is, otherwise they risk being hit on the flank and potentially being hit from the oil pit if they try to push up garage stairs, or potentially from the main stairs. He then moves up and back to site quite easily, or he could move through bar, come and attack them from lounge. They have to get a handle on Achieved.
I think the right call here really is put drones at any of the stairs coming out from downstairs and just keep half an eye on those later into the round. Yep. Because you're chasing him now, you're basically chasing a ghost. It's like trying to punch smoke. It's just not going to happen. He'll run away forever. You'll keep on trying to catch him. You'll have burnt 2.5 minutes, and you've then got 30 seconds to actually go for the execute. It's the small things here that can count for them, like focusing on the site and getting an opening kill like that. Never going to be a bad one. Bolo going down.
I think we see there that MIBR have got a great handle on Achieved's location. He moves back up those blue stairs to try and hassle them, but as he moves back through, a few random shots just peppered through the hatch there, but it just says, we know where you are. We know roughly where you're playing, and we've got one eye on you now. Charlotte, he's just looking out onto that south side balcony. He's just looking to make sure they're not pressured too much from the window, but does need to be careful because the angle is being watched. Pressure's mounting in from Cash as well. MIBR are making good progress here. Merc has to drop himself down through the hatch underneath. He's going to look for a potential flank. Charlotte does find the kill onto Philippox. Wrapped. It's a little bit too late to be looking for those window angles from CCTV now, as the man has already been lost. 4 versus 4, and MIBR looking like they're shaping up to take over logistics as well.
They look a little bit nervous because this setup that's come through in construction, bit of a new one. Haven't seen that all too often before from what I can remember at the very least, but now that they've got the CC control and they can start pushing on the south balcony, the site should be theirs, but it's all the kills going the way of TSM. 3 versus 2, down into 2, 10 seconds left, it's 1 player left, it's Falls, finds 1, but he won't know the last man. It's Achieved, the Phantom Roamer that we spoke about earlier in the round. The red pings are coming through, should be able to get this one nice and easy. Yes, he will. TSM outside of 1 round have absolutely dominated MIBR today. 1 entry to Westside 2021 for them.
Oh, you'll love to see it, Des, because that means that we've got strong teams coming out of Europe. We've got strong teams now coming out of the NAL. We've had strong teams from LATAM. We just need APAC to show us a little bit more. We know they've got it. We know they can do it. This is turning out to be a hell of an invitational so far.
What you got to remember is all of this week are best of ones as well. I'm not at all trying to say that teams are going to be saving everything for next week, but only 1 team per group goes home. You will have a much harder time if you're coming into, say, the lower bracket next week. If you finish in the bottom 3 or bottom 4 of your group, you're not the one that gets knocked out. You go straight into the lower bracket. There are no second chances, but the top 4, they all go up into the upper bracket and get that second chance in case they do slip up a little bit in one of those best of 3. So if you're fancying your chances in the lower bracket about being able to do that kind of underdog run, we've seen some teams pull it off last year. Why not this?
You're absolutely right, Des. You know, as much as you can play your heart out here in the group stage, you've got to make it through. You've got to keep one eye on those playoffs, and you've got to think about, you know, do we have something new to bring to the table? We can't have the analysts sat there just knowing absolutely everything that we're going to bring to those knockout games.
Let's not have this taken away from TSM though. This was a
great performance.
And a couple of really cool setups as well about that construction extension. Really like to see it. Normally teams go the full width into Cash and CC. Just for MIBR, I think you look at this one and go, okay, you know, we've been brought down by one of the best in NA. It's expected that we might struggle. I don't think they'll be too downbeat about this one. There's going to be plenty more games to play in. Again, as long as you're not finishing dead last, there's still hope for you in the playoffs.
Certainly is, as you say. A lot to be excited about in TSM there. That's my big takeaway from the game. I'm not too worried about MIBR. They will show us better performances, but an awful lot to be excited about from TSM.
Well, let's go out to a quick break, and when we come back, our analysts are going to break that game down for you. See you guys in a few.